Well, joining me now from Brussels is the European Parliament's chief negotiator in the Brexit process, Guy Verhofstadt, former Belgian Prime Minister. Thank you for being with us. Mr Verhofstadt, what would you describe as the spirit in which the rest of the European Union want to enter these negotiations with Britain?
Well, certainly we are not in the mood to punish Britain, to take revenge of it. What we want is a serious agreement on the withdrawal with all the elements in it. And the first thing to tackle and to discuss is the citizens' rights, because we have to end this uncertainty for the citizens that exists now for 9 months. And secondly, we are also in the mood to have a serious new partnership and to decide on a new partnership with Britain. And we propose what we call an association agreement, not only with a trade deal inside, but also with a huge cooperation on security, internal and external security.
On the rights of citizens, there seems to be the same attitude on both sides of the channel, if I can put it like that. So it should be fairly possible to reach an agreement on that quickly.
I think so, and our priority is to do it even before talking about money, about the financial settlement, so that before the end of the year we can give certainty to UK nationals living in Europe and EU nationals living in Britain. And for the first time, what we recognise also in this draft resolution of the European Parliament that will be discussed next week in the Parliament, is that we need to mitigate also and find a solution for those UK citizens who want still to keep a link with Europe, because they are losing their rights as EU citizen without their will, outside their will.
Beyond that, though, if citizens can be sorted out and one understands the reasons for that, why is some people in the European Union, one thinks of Chancellor Merkel, making such a point about the sequencing of the discussions? Because you say you want an association agreement. My understanding is that in the European Union, nothing is agreed till everything is agreed. That's the buzz phrase. So surely talking about the association agreement and the divorce settlement at the same time makes sense.
Well, you have to follow the treaty. The treaty is very clear about this. In Article 50 is stipulated that, first of all, you do the withdrawal agreement in the light of your future relationship between the UK
Exactly, so you've got to do them together, because you've got to know the future relationship.
Yeah. No, that's not together. There's the general framework. You need to do the withdrawal agreement, and you have to have an agreement on the what I should call the general terms of your future relationship, not on the detailing, not on the content. That is impossible in 14, 15 months to do so. We need the whole transition period of 2 years, 3, 4 years to fill in the content of this new, what we call association agreement for the future. So first the withdrawal agreement in the light of what you understand together as being the future relationship between both, and then you can start really the negotiations on the content of this new relationship. Because again, it's very naive to think that in 14, 15 months you could do that all together.
Yeah, but equally, is there not a danger that the European Union is making the same mistake as it made with David Cameron, which is being bureaucratic and inflexible, when in fact the changes are going to happen anyway, as we're seeing with the absence of freedom of movement with some European countries at the moment? If you conceded earlier on, we wouldn't be in this situation with Britain coming out.
I think that the mistake made at the time of David Cameron was that the agreement with David Cameron was not used by the Remain campaign in the UK. I was present when we negotiated this agreement with David Cameron, and afterwards nobody has even talked about this agreement anymore in the whole campaign. That said, what is a big mistake that we could make from both sides is to start with launching threats to each other. And that is a little bit, I find the letter of Mrs May very constructive, generally. But there is also one threat in it, in saying, look, we want also to cooperate with you on security issues in our common fight against terrorism, but you have to give us a good deal on trade and economy. Well, that doesn't work like that. You cannot use, or abuse, I should say, the security of citizens to have then a good deal on something else. In our opinion, it are two separate pillars. Let's not make a mistake. We need a close cooperation on security between the UK and EU in the future, and we need also a fair trade deal.
No, but the reality of all this is that the terms, the feelings between the rest of the European Union and the UK at the end of this process are going to matter. If people are angry with each other, if they feel hostile, there can be all sorts of unforeseen consequences. And let me just put it to you that we've got...
That's the reason why...
Well, you know, hang on, but wait a minute. We've got the British Prime Minister and other ministers make it absolutely clear that they accept that Britain may have to pay money to the European Union in terms of our obligations once we leave. And yet... we've got people in Europe saying, well, first you've got to cough up the bill and it's going to be painful and it's going to cost you 60 billion euros. I'm just saying to you, that's not a very clever way of ending up with a friendly agreement.
No, what we say with the European Parliament is not a figure. I think that's not the best way to find a solution. What you need to do is to make an agreement with each other on a number of key principles, sound accounting principles. And if you have an agreement on that, then you apply them and you have a figure at the end. That's the way to go forward, instead of starting a battle on figures. And moreover, what I already said, we need first of all, before talking money, to find a solution for the problems of the citizens, the UK citizens.
Well, I accept that, but so in other words, Mr Barnier's team were wrong to start talking about 60 billion euros, were they?
No, what they simply give is the figures that they find out. What I'm saying is that the best way to come to a conclusion on this is first to start to talk about the principles, and if from the British side and from the EU side we can agree on the sound accounting principles, then it has to be easy to find an agreement on the concrete figures.
It does sound to me, and obviously you're at the European Parliament, who at the end of this process have to approve what's been agreed, that you are really urging flexibility on both sides, that you're perhaps less rigid than Mrs Merkel or Francois Hollande or even Mr Barnier on how these negotiations should be handled.
Well, we are tough on one issue as European Parliament, that is that we can never accept that that you have a status outside the European Union which is more favourable than a membership inside the European Union. So on that we will be unflexible. But we are very flexible and positive on the way we have to treat the citizens. The UK citizens, the EU citizens, the citizens in general. That's also the reason why we say we need to examine what we can do for these UK citizens who want to keep a link with EU citizenship. Because I think in all this story of the last 2 years, and certainly the last 9 months, it are the citizens who are the victim of this whole political battle. And we have to stop this. We have to find a new relationship. We think an association agreement is the best way to go forward, to give again certainty and stability in this relationship between the UK on the one hand and the EU on the other hand.